If you have a soundbar and wish it was more versatile, then I think I found the product for you. Hey everyone, Steven here, and today I'm reviewing the KY-8000 Bluetooth soundbar from Assistrust. The name here immediately made me think of a Terminator model,
T-1000, advanced prototype.
But I'm going to have video of me unboxing this while I cover the specs and features. This soundbar is unique to any soundbar I've used in the past, as this can actually split into two separate pieces, which I'm going to cover that in more detail here in a little bit. On the technical side though, this is a 50 watt speaker that can be split into two 25 watt speakers. The speaker impedance is 53 millimeters at 7 ohms. The frequency response is 90 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and the signal to noise ratio is 65 decibels. For the physical dimensions, this is 30.9 inches long, 3.5 inches wide, and 2.48 inches deep. This has Bluetooth 5.0 with a range of 30 feet. Inside of the box, you will find the two speakers, the remote control, audio line in, RCA to RCA cable, HDMI cable, optical cable, power supply, stand bases, the user manual, and screws if you want to actually mount this to any type of bracket or to the wall. Next, let's look at the physical features, starting on the back of the right speaker, where you will find the inputs including HDMI, auxiliary, RCA, and optical. You'll find the openings for mounting this to the wall on the back as well. On the front, you have the control dial with a status LED light. The dial is multifunctional, and the user manual has the guide to how to control this. To split this in two, you simply twist this apart, and then you'll notice the interlocking areas that you can then attach to the standing base, which lock in the same way. The standing bases have a power cable between them, which is how they can still both play sound even when split apart. For the remote, you have all of the main buttons you need to control every aspect of the soundbar, and a boost button, which allows for 2 boost levels on top of the set audio level you have with the soundbar. So this will not only raise the ceiling on how loud this can get overall, but it can also give you 2 levels in between your main volume levels, which I think is a very nice touch. Moving on to what I like about the soundbar, I'll start with the ability to split this into 2 speakers, which is what makes this product so unique, and it works quite well here. This is something that never dawned on me as a thing to do for a soundbar, but I think it's not only a great idea, but Assistrust has done a great job executing that idea with this product. The 2 stands keep this stable, but it is another part that you have to keep track of, so something to keep in mind, because if you lose that, it's gonna be really hard to split this apart and then do the 2 separate speakers, because for one of them, again, the stand is actually what is supplying the second speaker with power. The sound here gets decently loud, and the 2 boost levels peak the audio at a level that is great for a medium-sized room. If you're using this in a large open area, I don't know that it will have the highest level of sound that you might need to completely fill that room, but it will be great for most setups. The quality of the audio will remain high at any level, so you don't need to worry about any type of audio distortion with these, even at max volume. Now, I was originally planning on doing a sound test for these, but they get loud enough that I'd have to reduce the levels in post so much that it just wouldn't do these justice. The audio quality is really good with these as well, and you have 3 modes: movie, music, and news. Movie and music have a little bit more bass, while news has a little bit more treble, and overall all of those have a good richness to them. And with that, the quality may not be as good as like a Sonos, but it's a fraction of the price, and personally I think it sounds really good. This has a great amount of input versatility, and I've tried this on a PC via Bluetooth and audio cable, a TV using the optical and HDMI cables, a console using the HDMI and optical cables, and then using this via Bluetooth with my phone, and the soundbar performed great on all of these. Gaming and video is how I typically use this soundbar day to day, and I've been really impressed overall with the quality of the sound and the volume that this can achieve. One quick side note before I move on here that I wanted to cover, and it's how do you know which side is supposed to go on the right hand side and which side is supposed to go on the left hand side when you split this soundbar into two parts. the pictures kind of show a mixed bag with this. And I'm really basing that off of what I'm seeing with the bass, because one of them is going to have the power button on it and the little control dial there. So the thing that I've noticed is if you have this in the soundbar orientation, the power button will be on the top of this dial. So if I split that in two, that means that that side is the right hand side or the right channel, and the one that doesn't have the power button and the control dial is going to be on the left hand side. That took me a second to figure out because I actually had this mixed up. I had it backwards when I was playing on my PC, and I just noticed that the sound was off, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. I just simply swapped places, and then immediately it clicked, and I was like, oh, that's how that's supposed to sound. So if you do get this and you're wondering which side it's supposed to go on, that's how you're going to know. Moving on to what I don't like about this product, I only have a few things, and I'm going to start with the cable length for all of the cables that this has. So this creates some limitations because these are really, really short. I think for most setups, this is going to be close to an outlet or a TV or a PC or whatever your setup may be, and it doesn't need that extra length. But if you are in a situation where you do need extra length, you're gonna have to buy new cables to accommodate the length that you really need instead of getting it with this. It would have just been nice if all of these just had that extra length because they are pretty short here. And that's also the case for the bases to put this in a vertical position, which I would prefer to have extra cable length and have to manage that than to have this at this very limited set distance. It just creates a situation where if you do have a bigger TV, it's not going to fully span that like you may want it to. The second and last thing that I have here that I don't like is going to be that the inputs are recessed back into the soundbar, which just makes it harder to connect them. Now, these being recessed creates a cleaner look to the cables, but you don't typically see the cables with the soundbar, so personally I'd take the easier cable access over this more recessed version that just creates a cleaner look for it. And last, we have the gray area, which are going to be things you may or may not care about. Here I have two things with this. The first one is going to be the stickers that come both on the soundbar, and then there's another one that's on the remote. Both of these have really good information that you're going to need to know in terms of operating this soundbar. But if you go to try to peel those stickers off, they are very sticky. They're most likely going to rip. So you're going to end up either having to slowly peel all of that gunk off, or you're potentially going to scratch up, for instance, the sound bar itself when you're doing that. So the one on the remote, not as big of a deal if I have to kind of peel that off, get that gunk off. The one on the sound bar actually brings me to the other gray area thing, which is the kind of smooth, shiny plastic parts on this, where it's not a matte finish, it's more of that shiny plastic finish. That scratches very easily. So if you have this sticker on there, you go to peel this off, you're most likely just going to tear that area up. And so even if you were to wipe it down and clean it up, there's going to be a ton of scratch marks on it. I just don't personally like that type of plastic because that happens so often. And then down the road, you just have this plastic thing that, yeah, it was shiny to begin with, but now it's all scratched up and it just doesn't look as good. So in conclusion, this is a very good soundbar with an innovative design that provides more options when it comes to how you set this up. The handful of potential negatives here are something each person will need to consider, but I don't think they are deal breakers by any means, just things to be aware of, because ultimately the sound is what matters most, and Assistrust delivers on that front. I'll have a link in the description if you want to pick this up. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comment section and I'll be sure to answer that for you there. If you liked the video, hit the like button for me. If you want to continue to follow along with all of my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.